All right,
Welcome.
coming up on this episode of Sound Culture, Brendon and I are going to be talking about Guns N' Roses.
Absolute classic.
Appetite for Destruction, the 1987 debut album, and boy do we have some stories about these guys.
Yeah, these guys made their mark on society, to say the least. Yeah.
So if you don't know anything about these guys, you're gonna want to check this album out.
Enjoy. Welcome.
All right, coming up on this episode of Sound Culture, we're going to be talking about
An absolute classic, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction.
this album is very special to me because it is, and we were talking about this, I didn't even realize we started talking about this, but it's a crossover between punk rock and heavy metal. These guys were like DIY metal artists.
And like my first question is, what genre are these? Some people say, well, hard rock, I can see that. Glam rock, yeah, kind of, but like super heavy metal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see like Slayer as kind of heavy metal, and these guys don't sound like Slayer, but they still rock pretty hard. So it's hard to even kind of define them. But I'd say rock, metal, punk.
Yeah, they kind of do a little bit of everything, which is neat. It's really neat. And, this album is chock full of hits. You got Night Train and Welcome to the Jungle.
Paradise City.
Yeah. It's So Easy.
Yeah.
There's a ton of them.
And Sweet Child of Mine, of course.
Yeah, of course, right? So you got Axl Rose, lead singer.
Slash, of course, another epic icon.
And you got Izzy Stradlin and McGoffin. I always forget his first name. Duff? Is it Duff McGoffin? Anyway.
I think so.
And then Adler on drums. So these guys are all really, really well known. Well, especially Slash and Axl Rose.
Yeah,
right?
and they're known for their musicianship, not just because they're famous and part of some band. They are really talented musicians, and they can prove it.
Yeah. The reason why I think personally why this album was so successful, and Slash kind of made an anecdote about it when I was doing my research. I found this, and you found it too. It was because they said it was such an uncommercial album at the time. So
totally uncommercial.
So they were forced to tour it for about a year and really try and get in the LA circuit, really try and get attention for it.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually people started to like it, and eventually they started to build a following. And in the 1980s, that was enough to get you record sales because people weren't. We've talked about this before. People weren't buying tons of records. They buy like one or two really good ones, right? Mm-hmm. And then, so as a consequence, Guns N' Roses was able, when they finally launched the album on Geffen Records, they actually got like a crazy Billboard success with it because people just bought it like mad.
Yeah, it was like the opposite of being uncommercial. They went, I believe, 18 times platinum in the U.S. and I think they've sold over 30 million albums worldwide.
It's crazy.
That's insane. There's almost as many people in Canada as albums sold.
It is the best-selling debut album of all time.
Yeah, just think about that. The best of all time?
Yeah.
That's intense. And just also think about the fact that it's a CD. Times are a lot different now. When somebody buys a Katy Perry album on iTunes using their parents' credit card, they listen to it once, post it on Facebook, and never listen to it again. That's on a different level than back then when people saw these bands.
Bought physical copies on vinyl and cassette and CD.
And they were into it, man. It was part of their culture. And so I feel like the people were just... It was almost more of an accomplishment to sell that many albums back then because you had to work really hard for it.
And then on top of that, it's considered not considered, it is factually, it's the 11th best U.S. release of all time. So it's up there, like we were talking about, like
with Thriller and Katy Perry, of course.
Yeah, and you had other pop acts, and you got Stevie Wonder and other great artists, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
But this album. So yeah, we're hyping it a little bit. We haven't actually talked about the album yet, but we're hyping it for a reason. It's very interesting, and another fun fact that I found about this album is that normally on vinyl you'll have it split A and B. They actually split it G and R.
Classic. I love it.
And on top of that, the first 6 songs or the first half of the album are focused on drugs and rock and roll and
living the dream,
living that lifestyle, and the other 6 songs, or the other half, is sex and love and relationships. So it's thematic too. Guns and roses.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. These guys are brilliant. They're on a whole new level.
Yeah. On top, I don't know. Sorry, I cut you off. Keep going. Just say your thing.
I was gonna say Slash as well is a big icon. I've used this song so many times in guitar lessons. I've taught about 15,000 guitar lessons in my time, and a lot of people want to know about Sweet Child of Mine. It's like just a reflex almost. I've got this app. It's called Songster, and it shows you guitar tabs and makes it really easy for people to just look up a song and be able to see it and play it on guitar.
Yeah.
And it always keeps track of what the most popular one is based on who's looking up what. This is always within the top 5. That one, along with Stairway to Heaven, and One by Metallica, things like that. So this is one of like the best known guitar songs out there. And Sweet Child of Mine isn't actually that hard. You know a couple open chords and you can play it. Once you get the picking, it's not that bad, but it sounds badass.
And if you are a heterosexual male, the ladies love Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh, yeah. Why else would you be playing guitar? Jeez.
So just keep that in mind. Okay, so that said, so this is, I think I mentioned this, is pre-Dread Locks.
Pre-Dread, yeah.
Pre-Dread Axl Rose. Another really interesting anecdote about this album, about Guns N' Roses in general, is that Chinese Democracy was their supposed last album that they were trying to get out before they had that giant fallout as a band.
It was a big album, yeah.
Right? In the 90s they tried to release it, and they split. They did the Spaghetti Incident cover album, and then they split.
Yeah, just done.
And then Axl was just booting people out. Right, and then
that album costed a lot, I believe. Right?
Yeah, so it was $14 million to produce this album when it finally got done, and it is the single most expensive album in the history of record production.
Isn't that ridiculous? They have the highest-selling debut album as well as the most expensive album as well.
So record holders.
Yeah, these guys.
And and then another thing I wanted to mention real quick, the cover art, the Celtic cross and with the skulls, is actually not
the
original cover art. So there's a Robert Williams painting on the inside of the album in the liner notes, and I'm going to see if I have it, because I think I do. Excuse me 1 minute while I try and do this in a weird way. I think I have it. You see, my CD's been played so many times that I broke the fucking case. This album was supposed to be the original cover art, and it's pretty rapey, weird stuff.
A little creepy, just a little.
So anyway, it didn't get approved, and as a consequence, they had to go with this. So just a little story about GNR.
Yeah, but seeing how they were pretty successful, maybe that was probably a good choice.
So that said, I hope you enjoyed the review.
Yeah, and we know you'll love the album. If you like any kind of rock music or punk music or metal music and you haven't heard this album, then what are you waiting for?
So leave a like.
And to subscribe.
Hit the bell for notifications. We've always got tons of album reviews coming out. Plus, I do board game reviews and movie reviews. So thanks for watching Sound Culture, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching.
When we start our videos, we go into it hot. We should give it a second to breathe, because it's just coming out of the intro music.
Okay.
Because then that way we're not talking over.
So should we talk quieter, or should we talk slower?
I'm just saying, just like, almost do like the, and then we go into it before.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh.
Like, just take a second to breathe. Like, 'cause when I clap, we'll just take a second to breathe, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, have some dead time. That's nice.
Okay.
To work with editing.